What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Ugas Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have some great news as the World Boxing Association, better known as the WBA, President Gilberto Mendoza, today will rule if they allow Cuban star boxer, WBA welterweight super champion, Yordenis Ugas, to face off in a unification bout, February of 2022, against undefeated, unified WBC, WIBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, Errol Spence Jr., who is widely considered by many to be top 3 best pound for pound fighters in the world. So, we know that the WBA decided to put Yordenis Ugas in a mini tournament against Jamal James, bout winner. Jamal James was the WBA regular champion. He faced off against bout, in which he lost. So bout beat Jamal James to become the WBA regular champion. Then it was expected for Yordenis Ugas to face off against Stanionis, with the winner facing bout. Okay, Yordenis Ugas, 27 wins, 4 losses, no draws, 12 wins by way of knockout, 35 years of age, 5'9", with a 69-inch arm reach. Okay. With that said, Yordenis Ugas has let it be known that he has an agreement and a deal in place to fight Errol Spence in February. Well, now, PBC, Premier Boxing Champion, founder and advisor, Al Heyman, has also petitioned the WBA, as well as the other sanction bodies, to allow this unification bout to take place in February so we can get one champion, okay? So the direction will head into getting us one champion, okay? So the other sanction bodies have now gotten involved, and Al Heyman himself, according to reports, have petitioned the WBA to allow Yordenis Ugas to face off against Yordenis Ugas to face off against Errol Spence in February, okay? What's interesting about this is that it's being noted that undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 pound for pound best fighter in the world, Terence "Bud" Crawford, 38 wins now, no losses, no draws, 29 wins by way of knockout, 34 years of age, stands at 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Okay, so with that said, obviously, the biggest fight in the sport of boxing is Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. So it's being noted that if Errol Spence doesn't get the unification bout against Yordenis Ugas, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford will begin negotiations to face off earlier than expected. So it's being reported that Terence Crawford has agreed to allow, and he's willing to allow Errol Spence to face off against Yordenis Ugas, and with the hopes of him fighting the winner for undisputed in the fall, as I've been reporting to you guys. So with that said, they expect Yordenis Ugas and Errol Spence to fight in a unification, which means that you're more than likely going to get Terence Crawford versus former unified welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Keith one-time Thurman, in the summertime in July. If Terence Crawford doesn't get the fight with Errol Spence and Errol Spence faces off against Yordenis Ugas, you're more than likely going to get Terence Crawford versus Keith Thurman in July. Now, the plan is for Keith Thurman to be able to get a tune-up fight in January, okay? Keith Thurman will have a tune-up fight in January. Then he'll fight Terence Crawford in July. Keith Thurman, 29 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout, 5'7.5" with a 69-inch arm reach. He's 33 years of age. Keith Thurman has been inactive for the better part of 2 years. Last time we saw him in the ring was July of 2019 when he fought Manny Pacquiao. So by the time he steps in the ring with Terence Crawford, he wouldn't have had a big fight in 3 years, okay, to the day. So with that said, it's also being reported that you could possibly see Keith Thurman against Andre Berto, okay, in a comeback fight in January. Or you could see Keith Thurman in a lower tier fight just to get his feet wet, okay? But don't be surprised to see Keith Thurman versus Andre Berto in January. Okay, so with that said, Errol Spence is looking forward to a unification bout. That means Terence Crawford, he doesn't mind Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas fighting, but he wants a big fight and he wants to stay active. So you can expect that fight with Keith Thurman in July. Then in the fall, you can see Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford for a mega, massive, undisputed showdown. Probably will be around November time. Okay, so this all hangs on the WBA, okay, and their decision that's set to come down this evening, because it's already after 1 o'clock in the morning. It's going on. It's 2 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast. Okay, so today the ruling from the WBA is expected to be announced if they're going to allow this fight to take place. With that said, that means you'll see Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas in February. Okay. That's huge news. But again, if it doesn't happen in February, you can expect to see if they're not allowed to face off against one another. Okay, the date would be around February 19th or February 26th. Okay, that will be the date for Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas. Okay, but if it doesn't happen, the reports are they'll begin negotiations sooner than expected for Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Now, Errol Spence, he took to social media and he let it be known he had no interest in facing off against any mandatories or tune-up fights. We know Errol Spence was scheduled to face off against legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, August 21st in Las Vegas, Nevada at the MGM Grand. But Errol Spence suffered a broken detached retina, and Errol Spence was pulled from the fight, which saw Yordenis Ugas, who was going to be the co-main event. He ended up being elevated because his opponent also suffered a eye injury. So he became the replacement for Errol Spence, and he ended up dominating Manny Pacquiao en route to a unanimous decision victory. So with that said, Errol Spence, he repeated on social media, he had no interest coming back from this injury and facing off against tune-up fights or mandatories. He wanted to unify the belts, and he plans to move up to junior welterweight. Okay, he's 31 years of age. He already stated that he's a grown man, and weighing in at 147 pounds is pretty difficult. So he wants to go up to 154. Okay, giving himself a 7-pound leeway from what he has currently right now at 147. And we know now, it's ironic, right? Because we know that Jermell Charlo, he's going to face off against Brian Castano in February. And after Jermell Charlo, I expect Jermell Charlo to win that fight. Jermell Charlo is going to move up to 160. Okay? And then you can expect Jamal Charlo, when Canelo Alvarez, who is the undisputed super middleweight, who's moving up to cruiserweight, he's going to vacate the belts. He's not going to come back down from 190 to campaign at 168. So he's going to vacate the belts. And when he vacates the belts, that's going to leave an opening for guys like Jamal Charlo to move up and collect the belt and become a 3-division world champion. So the dominoes are falling in place. Now, again, it all hinges on the fact that if the WBA rules in favor of Yordenis Ugas, Errol Spence, and Al Heyman, and the other major sanction bodies that are getting involved, okay? We know that everybody was involved in petitioning the WBA to make the right decision when it came to reinstating Manny Pacquiao as the super champion when he was placed as champion in recess after not successfully defending the title within 2 years, and the WBA stating that they informed him that he needed to defend the title against somebody in the top 10 ranking system, in which Manny Pacquiao, he proved that not to be true. And everybody expected him to be placed back as champion, super champion, against Yordenis Ugas or Errol Spence initially. And the WBA, they declined to do that. They decided to keep Yordenis Ugas as the super champion. They elevated him to super champion. So there's no foregone conclusion that the WBA is going to do the right thing in this situation and allow Yordenis Ugas, who's 35 years of age, who doesn't have much time left, rather than fighting a guy who has 13 fights and never been in a major fight or headline his card, allow him to go and make his money and go into a unification bout and look to solidify his legacy. But you never know with the WBA, Gilberto Mendoza. So we got to see how this unfolds. But this is interesting news. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue. Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Oh, it is your boy Jada Kiss. Make sure you check out Blue Blood Sports TV. It's going down.